Sick.
Yeah. Sick.
Hey, everyone.
I was just about to say anything else before we actually get started. No jokes or japes on this one. We're all business tonight, folks.
Nope.
Yeah. Welcome back to the one about Godzilla movies. That's Brian. I'm Caleb. Last episode was episode 15. This is episode 16 about the movie Invasion of Astro Monster. Brian is drinking a caffeine-free, sugar-free Coca-Cola Zero because he hates himself. And I am drinking a lightly alcoholic peach-flavored Monster thing without caffeine either because I also hate myself. So welcome.
But we don't hate Godzilla.
We don't hate Godzilla. And we don't hate Godzilla movies. Even when they get cheesy and test our patience.
Yeah, hate is a strong word. I'll give you that.
But I really, really, really don't like you.
I will say I struggled with this one a little bit.
Is that the plain white teas? I think that's the plain white teas. So before we jump into it, because we're going to jump into it, we're going to roll right through this. I'm very tired, just like from the get-go. So this is probably going to be a little bit on the shorter side.
And the ADD is going to be immaculate.
Yeah, I don't know. It's either I'm not going to have any or we're going to fall apart multiple times. Before I forget about it, patreon.com/theoneaboutgodzilla It's $1 to join. There are several different tiers depending on how generous you're feeling. But for $1 a month, you get access to most of it, if not all of it. You get to hear us talk about Gamera at the start of this episode. And there's just a litany of other things in every episode that are not out on YouTube. So if you'd like to support the show, help Brian be able to afford some beverages other than caffeine-free, sugar-free Coca-Cola. Like, let's get some joy back into this man's life. You can head over to our Patreon. Thank you in advance for that. I wish you many goods and cheese. So, what's our movie this week, sir?
Many goods and cheese. Every fifth thing comes out of your mouth I've never heard anyone say before. Where have I been? I'm sorry, what was the question, sir? What was the question, sir?
Doctor.
Mr. Dr. Professor send to you.
Yeah, please. He was my father.
We're immediately off the rails. I didn't what
change it in my notes, but this week's movie is Invasion of Astro Monster. It's a Showa era film, 1965. We're in the middle of Toho, just like knocking movies out like the world is ending, dude. Like at least one a year, and within 11 months of each other, kind of thing, which is kind of crazy.
The last two were the same year. This is the year after.
Yep. Why don't you give us a little TLDR on this one? Did you do a ChatGPT summary? Would you like me to do a ChatGPT summary?
I mean, I have one if you want one.
Sweet, because I don't, so that'd be great.
I'm gonna make the summary slightly shorter so that you don't have to listen to me read a lot of things. Okay, Invasion of Astro Monster from 1965, Showa era. Two astronauts named Glenn and Fuji travel to Planet X where they meet the Zillions, an alien race who ask for Earth's help to defeat King Ghidorah in exchange for a cure for Earth's diseases, including cancer. The Zillions request the loan of Godzilla and Rodan to fight Ghidorah, but it's soon revealed that the aliens plan to use all three monsters to conquer Earth. With Godzilla, Rodan, and Ghidorah under alien mind control, which we talked about last time, the planet faces destruction. However, the astronauts and their allies break the Zillions' control, leading to a final battle where Godzilla and Rodan drive Godzilla away, saving Earth from invasion.
There it is.
Pretty good summary.
So
that's what happened.
We have entered fully into 60s sci-fi craze.
Yes.
And this movie is chock full of I'll save it. I'll save it for the show. I'll save it for the show. Why don't you give me your thoughts, man?
I mean, this is the
Give me your
show.
thoughts.
Yeah, we touched on it last time, but absolutely, we've gone full space age. We got a taste of it last time. With the team kind of looking for alien life or watching the stars, and there's that sense of looking up instead of looking down. We've gone full space age in this movie. Yeah, so we just like kind of right off the bat, we're kind of talking about these two aliens and they're launching, and there's like a rocket, and they're like kind of touching back to home base, talking about their approach to this planet, things like that. Yeah. I guess this is in my criticism list, but they have like a world space agency or something. I forget what they titled it, but it's what the rocket is talking back to. And it's just Japan. Like it's just fun. Like
it's just Japan.
It's funny. Like we're used to in the Western world, I suppose, to like things being sort of USA based, I guess, when there's like agencies and things. But it's just kind of, if you think about all like the big world based organizations in the world, like how massive the US is as like a part of that organization. And this one is just a room full of Japanese people.
Yeah.
And it's it's the world space agency.
And the one American astronaut.
Right. For some reason, there's just one American. I don't think they even ever explained why he's there or why he's not Japanese.
Yeah, no, he's just there. Yeah.
Yeah. He also he definitely, the actor definitely does not speak Japanese. So his character in the movie was kind of done. I guess this is trivia. I don't care. It's just coming out in the order that I feel like.
Time is a flat circle.
They did this kind of like a spaghetti western, I guess. If you've ever seen any of those movies, like Once Upon a Time in the West and things like that, where you have actors who are not speaking the same language on set, and then the ones who are the minority to the production language of like the eventual showing of the film get dubbed into that language. So the spaghetti westerns is a lot of Italians and Italian, and then they're dubbed into English, and it's like presented as a movie in English, but you can see that some of the characters, their dialogue matches what they're saying, and some of them it doesn't.
Yeah.
And that whole thing is very present in this film. And I want to say, I'm going to actually confirm now, but Once Upon a Time in the West, that is a 60s movie. I think several of the most well-known spaghetti westerns were in the 60s. I don't know. There's not necessarily any correlation, but
no, but
anyways.
I think it's kind of interesting to see like trends, at least, or some, you know what I mean? Like there seemed to be some kind of outside of the West, right? Like in Europe or whatever, like that was some kind of a trend maybe, or whatever. Like is this the first, I know this isn't the first Godzilla movie that we've watched where they do this, but is this the first one, like, since we kind of started going in order? Because we jumped through like every, we started with every time they rebooted the series, and I feel like later on they do that again too, where it's like some random dude on a submarine is speaking English or something, right? But the fact that his character does that through the whole movie, and they just like write back and forth between English and Japanese, like as if there isn't a difference in language, is really crazy.
Yeah, it's interesting. Okay, follow up. Probably the most well-known spaghetti westerns: Once Upon a Time in the West, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, A Few Dollars More, and A Fistful of Dollars.
Yeah.
That was like 65, 66, 68, 64, 4 years in a row. Dead center.
Huh.
Like,
Is
and
the
those
first
are
one is
Italian
Once Upon a Time in the
directed
West?
and shot.
Is that Clint Eastwood?
This one
Because
is
the other
not
ones are.
actually. The other ones are.
The other three are. Yeah.
This one is Henry
I've
Fonda in
seen
it,
all three of those. Okay. I've seen
and
I've
Charles
seen all the Clint
Bronson
Eastwood
is the
ones.
harmonica guy.
Good old Chuck Bronson.
Good stuff. Yeah, but those movies were. I mean, the composer, director, where it was shot, it was like all Italy, but it was like produced for, I guess, a Western audience. I guess it was all in English.
Supposed to be the
It's
Wild
supposed to
West
be
cowboy.
the American
Yeah.
West, so
Yep.
that's why it was in English. So,
Have you seen any of those movies?
hmm
The Clint Eastwood ones?
yeah, I actually
Yeah.
one of them I have not seen, and it is A Fistful of Dollars. I have not actually seen that one.
Okay.
So,
I think that is my
but-
favorite out of the trilogy.
really, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, a good many of them are in the IMDb top 250. They're excellent movies.
They really are.
Just like some crazy camera work, crazy landscapes, a lot of long scenes with no dialogue. You're just there. You just gotta
So
take
much
your
space.
time. Mm-hmm.
Yep, you're just there.
Anyways, this
Yep.
has been the one about spaghetti Western movies.
Hey, shouts out to Uncle Clint.
Shouts out to Sergio Leone and the composer that I can't think of right now.
Anyways,
Yeah.
So the
Good stuff.
astronauts,
Yeah.
they're on their way to some planet on the other side of Jupiter.
Yeah. Yep. So yeah, they're kind of checking in with home base. I like all the space age stuff. The rocket design's pretty cool. There's some of those shots in space, and I was reminded a bit of like Star Trek era,
Yeah.
because I think Star Trek was the first show to have all these like ships moving in space shots
Yeah.
for a syndicated TV show. Before Star Wars came along in the mid '70s and perfected it, but this is mid '60s at this point. This is 10 years before any Star Wars, so some pretty good motion effects. I'm not actually sure how they shot it. Maybe they were doing a miniature. They didn't have motion control rigs. Star Wars invented that, but they had some tracking shots.
That space travel stuff predates Star Trek.
Does it? Wow.
Season 1 was September 8th,
66.
1966.
Yeah, that's true. I didn't think about that. 66 is after this.
Great.
Pioneering stuff. But
Right?
I mean, they've been doing stuff with miniatures and moving things in the air and tracking the camera with it for,
Yeah.
12 years at this point, probably.
Right.
So they know what they're
But
doing.
it's funny that you said Star Trek, because even I like that scene was just like, wow, this is pretty Star Trek.
So maybe
And it's
think
kind
of
of the other way around.
And what I mean by that is it looks like Star Trek. So I'm guessing there was like similar methods used in Star Trek. Star Wars looks different. You can tell that
Yeah. Yep.
they have it like programmed to the frame and everything is perfect because they
Yeah.
invented motion control. Do you know what that is?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's like basically like you program a robot to move the camera for you so
Mhm.
that you can like
And
do it over and
knows
over and over again.
exactly- Yeah.
And
Yep.
like end up at the exact point every single time, so you can like combine a bunch of different elements together, and it works. So anyways, cool stuff.
Mhm.
For some reason I just thought it was really, really funny, like the first 3 minutes of the movie, the guy's like calling home to home base and they're in the rocket ship, and his like primary concern is his sister's love life.
Yeah, dude.
And
It's a Japanese, man.
he's like, I need a-
Oh,
He's like, I don't know about my
she's
sister's
all
boyfriend.
like, no. I'm not here.
And I'm like, dude, like, you're in space right now. Like, this is what you're. This is the message you need to get through. Like,
This is.
it's just so ridiculous.
Oh man, you're right. Yeah, so Japanese.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
I don't have as many notes today, I'll be honest. So, like, my
Hey,
next
that's
note
fine.
is like after they leave the planet. So, if you have anything you want to chime in on,
Um, yeah, I guess we could mix it in here. This movie for me is kind of what really birthed my interest in sci-fi and like
Hmm.
space travel, and also really solidified my enjoyment of creepy horror over jump scare horror, if that makes sense. Um, Around the same time as seeing this movie, I also saw It
Hmm.
and The Thing, and began watching The Twilight Zone, and like, so just lots of like
Hmm.
creepy suspense, that kind of thriller kind of stuff. And this movie kind of has little bits of feelings like that. They're that when they get to Planet X and they're like, "Hey, come in these tubes. Hey, come here. Like, hey, we've got candy in the van. Hey, come on. Hey, we took your ship. Come on." You know what I mean? Like, and they go in and then they're walking down those halls and like the lights turn on in front of them and then the lights turn off behind them. How many movies have you seen that in since since this movie, right?
Yeah,
That like and there's the ooh, like theremin in the background
heard the
and
theremin.
just
Yep,
yeah,
absolutely.
it's a really well done like space sci-fi, and it's kind of crazy how well done they did it for it being a like complete shift from like we've never done anything off planet Earth in a Godzilla film, and like here's our first like kind of really the first time they bring aliens into it or anything. There's just like these really dope ships and these aliens that look like they're in some kind of like 80s like prog pop band, and like
Yeah, I was trying to
you
think of
know,
what it reminded
like
me of.
they're tight silver pants. They've got the weird glasses. There's like a
Like,
straight up antenna on top of their head. Like this is controller, and then like I don't know.
almost
It's
like
just
Devo or something. I
yeah. It's a little
swear I have
Devo.
seen
It's a
a
little
live
Doctor Who.
performance of some kind of 80s band that was dressed not too far off from these
Yeah,
guys.
yeah.
But I can't think of who it
Devo
is.
definitely comes to mind.
Yeah,
I
or
wasn't like that had
almost like a
popped into my
Daft
head,
Punk
and I
thing.
like yeah, a little bit, a little Daft Punk. Not really. I don't know. The leather, I guess, the tight pants,
Hmm.
but just like yeah, very like proto disco, proto like yeah, it was just really weird. Like
Hmm.
um, yeah,
Maybe I'm thinking of.
I have this memory of my aunt Dana, who's like she's like 10 years younger than my mom. It's her sister. Her coming over and babysitting me while my parents were out, and like us watching this movie and like having frozen pizza, and like I don't know, it's a core memory for me, and like us getting to, and I had already seen it and I was like making her watch it with me. And like Ghidorah comes on the screen for the first time, and Dana just going, "Oh, ew, oh, ew," like freaking out and being a total girl about it, which is just hilarious to me. It still is funny, and I was so little at that point, and I thought it was funny then. I was probably 8. Um, yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, but yeah, dude, that like I don't know. They land on Planet X, and it just is like they did a really good job of like the suspense, kind of like what is going to happen here. um I remember that feeling distinctly as a younger person watching this. It just felt very tense in kind of a fun way.
I think I thought of a thing I was trying to think of. There's a scene in something that's depicting, I want to say, a 60s period Andy Warhol party. And there's a bunch of people, and it's like a space, I want to say it's like a space age themed party. maybe it's a Doctor Who episode. It could be that could be what it is.
Yeah.
But
Some of this feels very
but people
Doctor
like
Who as
dressed
well.
very much like this, like the
Yeah.
silver pants thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, some really cool looks on the planets. Very ambitious. I got the feeling I was seeing a lot of things that like hadn't necessarily really been done before, or maybe were about to be portrayed in similar ways, but
Mm-hmm.
whether other people stole like the concepts from them or not, like just like similar ideas. Well, at some point they leave the planet. Um, there's a shot.
And go back to Earth.
There's like a there's a cockpit shot of the rocket, I guess.
Yeah.
Do they go back on the same rocket? Yeah.
Yes.
Well, there's a reveal later about something related to that, but they're going back in the ship, and the shot's upside down, and then one of them makes a crack to the other about something about 180 degrees, and the camera just slowly turns.
Oh yeah, dude!
And I was
They
like,
right the ship.
I was like, what is that joke?
It was actually pretty
It
great.
was
I enjoyed that. He was like,
so
"Oh yeah, you're
silly.
right. I've got this. Yeah, I forgot to turn this on." And he flips the switch, and the camera just goes zip.
It was like,
Ah,
okay. It was in my stuff I liked category,
yeah.
but it's still dull. All right. Region.
Yeah. What I failed to really understand or grasp up to this point was like, so they go to Planet X, they meet these people, then Ghidorah attacks, right? And they're like, bah, freaking out and blah blah blah, and then it's explained to the astronauts like, hey, we are trapped here by this thing. We would love to borrow Godzilla and Rodan to help fight it off because we know that they already fought Ghidorah away from Earth once, right? And I don't think they ever make a mention of Venus and that whole deal, but it's kind of like alluded to that this is still kind of the same storyline, which I appreciate. And then they go back to Earth, right? And then apparently the Zillions already have a like a presence on Earth. There's already people there. There's already agents.
Yeah, in secret.
There's just a lot of like, I don't know.
They haven't revealed themselves because they're trying to take over Earth. So they have like a secret base kind of a thing going on.
Yeah, I guess, but it's like, why? If you're already there, and you're already gonna attack Earth, why do the whole back and forth? Let's take Rodan and Godzilla, and then we'll take you with us and show you, and that and then bring them all back to Earth, and we're gonna take over Earth now with Ghidorah and Godzilla and Rodan. But like, why not just show up with Ghidorah and like, F you, we're the kings now, like,
I'll
which
be
is
honest
kind
with
of.
you, I don't know if the writers of this movie were sober when they wrote it. I just did not get that sense.
Yeah.
And if you think about it too hard or critically at all, it falls apart pretty quick.
It does.
That's my feelings on this film.
Pretty quick.
Yeah. So this one was a little tough, but I mean the P1 ship design was pretty cool. Yeah, I thought it was pretty interesting design. Like the color scape of, I guess, the planet. There's sort of like this blue and orange vibe going on there.
Yeah.
I just like the color choices.
Yeah.
Space has often been depicted so grayscale. Seeing some color was cool.
Which is also kind of Star Trek a little bit. That was something that they kind of did too. There were often, like when they go to planets and stuff, there was some color there usually. Yeah, it's just cool that they, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've always really appreciated the way that this film looked. Even as a little kid, it just always looked so cool. Um, all the miniatures are really well done, all the space travel, like you mentioned already, but just like
Some
colors
of
and
them are well done.
contrasts and like, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Probably should have taken more notes, but there's definitely recycled footage from previous
Oh, for
films
sure.
in
Yep.
this
Of
movie.
like kaiju combat and
Um,
stuff, whatever.
there's, you know, I don't have confirmation. There's definitely shots of like plastic toy tanks with plastic soldiers poking out the top for some reason. It's like clearly just toys. Like it doesn't look like
Yeah.
a miniature. And those might be recycled shots because I know we've talked about that phenomenon before.
Right.
Not only like does it look dumb and like they phoned it in, but also like you don't see a soldier's head out the top of a tank while it's firing. Like
Yeah.
everybody knows that. Come on,
Ever.
like
Yeah.
it doesn't make any
Yeah.
sense.
Um,
So
yeah, I guess that's an interesting like it kind of points out like or shows where they made trade-offs in like we want to put these movies out quickly, or maybe the director didn't want to put them out quickly, but Toho, the money was like, hey, we need to get
mhm.
these out faster. And so what,
Yeah,
some of it could be phone it in, some of it could be we don't have time for this and we are kind of having to do this because the money says we have to, kind of thing,
yeah. And I mean this is like sort of a mid-tier space age alien movie masquerading as a Godzilla film or a kaiju film.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
in it for barely 5 minutes tops out of a 90-minute film.
Yeah.
It's really not about them. They're just kind of shoehorned into the plot or whatever you want to call it. Not much of a story. Um,
Right.
so like my next note that I have is like when they're escaping from the Zillion jail on Earth. That's probably like 45 minutes later. That's the next note I have. Just because
Oh, yeah.
like I feel like nothing really happens. Like there's some things happening. So I mean you can feel free to jump in. Like I know some
Yeah. I
things
mean,
happen, but like nothing stood out to me as interesting. It's just
right. It was like there were just little itty bitty things that kept the plot moving. Um, What's her face's boyfriend, the inventor, was he's like the Japanese version of Buddy Holly for some reason. Um, did you watch the English like the subtitle like so the Japanese audio but English subtitles, or did you
mhm,
watch?
always.
Okay,
I
yeah.
did actually. I kind of chose a scene that had both astronauts in it. Actually, it was the one where they're all sitting down at a diner, talking the
Oh
four
yeah,
of them or something. And I actually
yeah,
like switched between the audio versions because I wanted to see what the guy playing Glenn, what his real voice sounded like,
yeah,
and just his delivery so different, very like transatlantic accent, like 60s
yep,
American, and
yep,
just like the way it's delivered so different than like the Japanese delivery.
yeah.
So I did
Um,
compare that a little bit. I just thought it was interesting to compare because I figured his real voice would be on the English audio. So
right, yeah. I watched this time. I watched it in Japanese, but my whole life I've only ever seen it in English with the English dub.
mm,
Um, because that's just what was on TNT or whatever, like
yeah,
that's where I saw all these movies.
mm,
Um, I had something and now it's gone. Yeah, I dude, I've been wanting to say this. It like pops into my head and then I forget, and it pops in again. So here we are. The UFO design, like the zillion ships that they take to Earth, actually pretty cool for like as far as spaceships go and like UFOs. They're not just
mm.
silver, like weird looking discs or whatever. Like
Yeah, there were some really
I
cool shots over that lake where they're just
really
kind of
bulbous
hovering there,
white, the blue. Yeah, they're just hovering there.
and them coming out of the lake
Some
was
of
cool
the
too.
yeah, apparently that's more. this is more trivia, but like that's just like some like CO2 containers underwater that they just like broke
for the
open.
bubbliness.
Yeah, and let them all just
And there was a lot
yeah.
of mist and stuff going on too. It almost made me wonder if they dumped some like liquid or some dry ice out there or something. Like that's kind of
That's
what it
what
looked like to me.
yeah. I mean CO2 is like dry ice is the solid form of carbon dioxide.
Is it? Well,
Yes.
but you didn't learn. But you didn't know you're going to learn real science today. To
I
quote,
feel like we've discussed before the fact that my dad was a cryogenic engineer, right?
I think you mentioned chemistry.
Okay, yeah. So, yeah, like my dad helped pioneer and figure out how to like put into mass production using carbon dioxide as a way of freezing food. Um because it freezes it faster
Is that
and because
what's called flash freezing?
it's even better than flash freezing. Flash
Oh, so
freezing
that's
is
not the same thing.
still just like in a hyper cold environment.
Hmm.
Um, whereas the method that my dad worked on using liquid CO2, so it's obviously it's carbon dioxide. Every element that we can that's in our air that we breathe. The air that we breathe is made up of like 17 different gases. Um, but all that stuff can be obviously a gas, a liquid, or a solid. Carbon dioxide turns to liquid at negative 200 and what is it in Fahrenheit? 2 something? Negative 56 Celsius. So that's negative 69 degrees. That's not as far as I thought. Oh, I was getting the big number by psi. Anyways, so liquid nitrogen, liquid CO2 at negative 69 degrees, right? It's liquid. So you take chicken, for
Nice.
example. Tyson Chicken does this. You take a chicken breast or chicken nuggets or whatever that are like partially cooked or whole cooked, and then you can buy them from the freezer. Those come out of whatever they're cooked in and then dipped into a bath of liquid CO2 and then just run through that for a couple minutes. And instead of um, traditional freezing at 32 degrees or 0 degrees or something, in that time water has the chance to form and then crystals have the chance to form, and that starts to like tear product apart and stuff like that. Whereas using CO2, it freezes so quick that none of that can happen. It's also given us the ability to like, have you ever bought one of those things from the store that has like in the freezer section with like pasta in it and veggies, and then the soup is in like little cubes, or like the sauce is in little cubes, and you dump it all in a pot and just like kind of cook it and stir it around until it's magically a pasta dish?
I can
Or
picture it.
made by like Bertolli or whatever. Those are made the same way, and it's that method. They take sauce in its sauce form, your like Alfredo sauce or whatever, and into like a little mold, and then that mold goes right into a bath of liquid CO2. And I used to work at a place here in Michigan that did that. Before I got my job at Apple, I used to work in a
Hmm.
food factory. Um, yeah. So yeah, I know too much about cryogenics.
You know a few things.
I know some stuff about things. Yeah, how did we get on CO2? Oh yeah, they were using CO2 for the little bubbling effect in the water. You were saying maybe they use some dry ice, and I said, well, dry ice is the solid form of CO2.
The more you know.
The more you know. Caleb, we'll cut that in. Caleb. No, we won't. Yes, I will. No, I won't. Yes, I will. Yeah, I don't know. It's an all right movie, and I feel like that is probably going to
Yeah, I
be our
mean
reaction going forward.
that that CO2 conversation was more interesting than this movie.
I agree.
Um,
Should we do a little bit more trivia and then
I
talk
got
about
more
our
things.
ratings? Oh, you got more things? Cool. What didn't you like? Is it time
Yeah.
for what you didn't like?
Soon. So the inventor dude is in the jail, and the other
Yeah.
guy shows up, and he's in the jail, and then the Chekhov's invention, if you will, the very beginning of the film, the
Yeah.
noisemaker device that was clearly going to come in at the end of the movie at some point,
Come in clutch.
was used to deafen or like I don't know, mess with the zillions, and he just let it rip. And I don't know, there's just a bunch of shots of like screaming deafened zillions. Is how I typed it.
Yeah.
That I enjoyed. There's
Does it
also
remind you at all of anything from the legendary Godzilla like MonsterVerse? Specifically,
no.
now that Ghidorah is on the scene. Well, they did it more to control the monsters, but it kind of made me think of that, like the thing that they use in the MonsterVerse to try to like control the monsters, and that's what ends up like
Oh, like the calls
setting off the
or the
events in
sounds.
King of the Monsters. Yeah, that whole
Mm,
like bioacoustics thing.
yeah, that's
And
probably a
that messed with the
better
monsters
route.
instead of, messing with the aliens or whatever. But like, yeah, it just kind of made me think of that where it was just like this sound thing just like messed them all up and let them escape. And they kind of like tried to use that in King of the Monsters. And then Millie Bobby Brown almost died at Dodger Stadium or whatever the heck that is.
Yeah. There's a really cool shot of just people running away from Godzilla in a small village, and Mount Fuji's just in the background. The framing of that shot I really appreciated. Just like a nice trilogy of things happening, if you will.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, that was great. Things I kind of retitled my categories. My categories I now have titled stuff I liked and stuff that I would change.
There you go. Okay.
Yeah, the World
Stuff that
Space
made me go, huh?
Agency is Japan. I don't know what I expected, but it's just why call it the World Space Agency if it's just only Japan? um, maybe I haven't actually watched a lot of Star Trek, but Star Trek was obviously like very science based. At least it attempted to be. So maybe we're spoiled from that. But the concept of like real time video call conversations with a space agency to a to a ship in space, like it's hard to not like look at it with 2024 eyes, be like, there's no way. Did they think that would be possible? Maybe they did. I don't know. I mean, they use the term light years, and they're talking about how fast the ship is traveling earlier in the film. So there's a
Yeah.
concept of time involved in the travel. So why would you think
Yeah.
you can have a real time conversation? It's
Well, I
kind of
think
ridiculous.
it's interesting you say that because I've made this point before that I was eager for a time when they started to actually maybe bring science into their Godzilla films a little bit and not just like, oh, we made this thing and now we're going to go
Hmm.
fight him with it. Like there
Like Monarch.
was, yeah, like Monarch or like, at least in this film, even a little bit, there was a little bit of, there's that whole like magnetic ray thing that they mess around with. And maybe if we can intercept the signal or, like, there's a little bit of it's finally creeping in a little bit that they like try to include that as part of a plot point or don't just let it's like, oh, here's the solution, got it, let's go, like there's a little bit of working for it, even if it was not, even if it was only half baked in this one.
Yeah. The Zillions are just Japanese people painted silver.
I mean, it's better than blackface.
Yeah, I guess.
It's better than a Snickers bar.
But like, there's so many directions you could have gone with for aliens, like a prosthetic head. Like you're not gonna tell me that's outside of their wheelhouse. After all these kaiju suits, like come on, you couldn't have like made something that looks more like an alien and less like, you know, disco backup dancers. Like
Do
I
you think
didn't.
that's a modern take
I
on
felt
that
like that
though,
was
or do you think that
lazy.
was? Do you think that
No,
was lazy for the time?
I think I wasn't around then, obviously, but I think that whatever they based it on was inspired by something in the culture at the time, rather than like a creature or another race,
Yeah.
even like a bipedal race. Like you could have done something, but
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe Star Trek just was the first one to start playing with those ideas of other races on other planets.
Yeah.
But there had to have been. I don't know. There has to be better ideas. I don't know.
Well, at least
The
they weren't
Zillions.
tiny and green.
Zillions conveniently know a heck of a lot about Earth, and Kaiju and their locations, which maybe is because they already had people there. But in the beginning of the film, just like, oh yeah, Godzilla's in this lake, and Rodan's over here in this one spot,
Sleep in this
and they just
volcano.
like very conveniently know exactly where everything is, and it's never really explained why they would know that.
Yeah.
I don't know. They didn't really explain a lot in this movie. I think stuff just kind of happened.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
we did
yeah.
get Dancing Godzilla, the
Yes.
very well known GIF of
The
Godzilla
Shea. Yeah.
dancing.
The Shea gag pose. Did you know that's actually from a manga that was like popular at the time. That was kind of like that was the floss of the 60s.
Was it
From a
in
manga
Japan?
called Osomatsu-kun. But yeah, it kind of was one of those like, we're going to put it in here because this is a pop culture reference in Japan right now, like to this popular
Yeah,
novelty dance.
ridiculous.
Absolutely ridiculous.
But in
Yeah.
with the context of the rest of the film, though, I enjoyed it. It was a moment of levity and a sea of mediocrity. Title.
Just a little bit of
Yeah, that's title for sure. Anyway,
definitely title.
should we do trivia?
Yeah, dude. Let's do the rest of trivia.
I actually read this trivia or started looking at it for the first time today. I didn't actually read it. There tends to be, for me, a direct relationship between my enjoyment of the film and my interest in the trivia. So I just didn't really read in the trivia after this film because I was like, that wasn't the best. Yeah. I don't know if this is a trivia item. I read it somewhere. Well, this is for sure the last Ishiro Honda directed film for a bit. I mean, he certainly came back later, but in terms of like a contractual thing, he took a good break after this. He definitely didn't like making this movie. The fact that the Kaiju were barely in it. He's like, what is happening to this franchise? Probably is what he's thinking. So he was like, super out after this one. And I think that's fair. So
cool. I found this really cool website that I will put a link to in the show notes.
Okay.
Link in the show notes, Caleb. Tippy Tail Lemon Tree. It's called TohoKingdom.com. And there's some trivia here about the movie. One of them is that so you know who Kurosawa is, right? Akira Kurosawa, the director.
Oh yeah.
Apparently he would often tease Ishiro Honda over the evacuation scenes in his movies, like the ones in Invasion of Astro Monster, where like policemen are directing like the fleeing crowds. And Kurosawa would always tease him about the fact that like if it were real life, the policeman would have been out first, and that like Honda was too good natured to do that in a film. Like he's making these kaiju destruction films, but he still won't. He'll show, he's just too much of a good guy to show the police doing anything but like being helpful. I thought that was funny.
Yeah, there were some cool close-up shots of Godzilla stomping on stuff. I think they just kind of did that manually with like a foot on a rod. There's a lot of cost cutting measures in this film. This item here that I'm reading was talking about they kept using stock footage. I don't know if they were being forced to or whatever. Honda called it a vicious cycle of time and budget. He's like, the more like reused footage we use, we could cut the effects budget, but then we receive complaints from our fans saying it looks weird, it's not fresh. We could fool them for a while, but eventually they notice the trick, stop coming to see the movies. So he calls that a sad part of our history.
Yeah.
Like just trying to like save money and phoning it in kind of. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Let's see. I don't know. I don't think I feel like I had something else.
Well, the P1, the rocket ship the design was kind of roughly based on the Gemini space program.
Oh, really?
Seems like
I didn't know
something
that.
you'd be interested in.
That's cool.
I did actually have a moment where I was thinking, so Caleb, you sent me a video like maybe last week or something about
dude,
the
I totally meant to
reusable
talk
rockets.
about this in
Yeah.
follow-up. Yes.
Well, you describe what you sent me because you know a lot more about it.
Yeah, do you want me to like just
go for it?
Give you the whole thing? Okay,
Yeah.
so there's this company called SpaceX. Maybe you've heard of them. I'm not here to talk about what's his face from South Africa. What I am here to talk about is the like thousands of people at SpaceX that are literally pushing space travel forward. The idea here is, so what happened Sunday morning was the 5th test flight of what is known as Starship and the Starship booster. And so the booster is what gets Starship off of Earth and into space. And then obviously Starship goes to the stars and will take the human race to Mars. And the idea is that like eventually there will be other boosters like further out. So Starship will meet up with another booster and then go to Mars, and they just kind of like train out there. What happened Sunday morning was, so SpaceX already has rockets that land themselves, and it happens every single day. I get multiple notifications every single day of rockets that leave from Florida or California. They're called Raptors, and they go up to space and they deliver like equipment. They put satellites up there. They're building something called Starlink, which is internet. It's going to allow internet to Mars and direct communication with Mars and stuff. It's like how radios are going to work between Earth and other planets in space. It's all going to be Starlink satellites, at least at first. So these Raptors, they're totally unmanned, totally autonomous. They go up, do their thing, they come back to Earth, and they land on these big rafts that are out in the middle of the ocean. And the rafts are being coordinated in real time with AI, with the rocket. And so whoever is in the best position, this raft catches this rocket. And then it gets picked up by a tugboat and taken back to Texas, where it launched from, or Florida, or whatever. So in Texas, in Boca Raton, I think they call it Starbase. And it's where they're building Starship and the boosters, and they're doing the really, like, this is where they're preparing to go to Mars from, basically. And so Sunday morning was the 5th test of Starship stacked on top of booster from the launch tower. And every other test, the 4 other tests of this stacked combo, but even the test of just like, we're just going to launch Starship by itself from the ground, like none of them have survived. They've blown up every single one of them. I think there have been 8 Starship tests, and now this is the 5th like combo Starship booster flight. The other 4, they blew up. Something went wrong. On the last one, when Starship was coming back into Earth after completing its, like, I think it went around the Earth twice. On its way back in, one of the wings literally like melted off of the rocket and just like, and so then it just spun out, explosion, crazy.
Right.
So this past Sunday morning, Starship booster takes off. Booster successfully delivers Starship into space, and Starship then goes and does 2 laps around the Earth. And in the span of 6 minutes from taking off, delivering Starship to Earth, then Booster turned itself around, didn't turn itself around. It just started to fall back to Earth. And it fell and it fell and it fell and it fell and it fell. And eventually it reignited its rockets. 3 of its 16 rockets. Reignited 3 of its 16 rockets. It came back to the tower that it had launched from. And it guided itself into the tower. And then these chopsticks came out from the side of the tower and caught the booster midair. Literally 500 feet above the ground. Caught this thing midair. This thing went to
6 minutes
space.
in.
Delivered a spaceship to space and came back and was caught back where it launched from in 6 minutes. 6 minutes and 4 seconds. Ding. That's never been done before at that scale. That booster has 32 Raptor engines in it. Those Raptors that go up, those Raptor rockets that go up and deliver stuff to space and then come back and land themselves, that's a single Raptor engine. The booster has 32 Raptor engines. So they couldn't just land it back normally like they can a Raptor, because it would tear anything and everything apart underneath it. That much power, right? They can only ignite 3 of the engines when they come in for the landing, or they'll tear everything apart. So it's this perfect balance of how long can we let this thing fall? When do we have to turn on the rockets? How many of the rockets can we use? What does everything have to be made of? And when do we need to stop firing the engines so that we don't melt the tower and catch this thing? And so much science, so much engineering, and stuff that we've seen in sci-fi movies our whole entire life, and nobody ever really had to think about the physics of it. Nobody really ever had to think about what it meant to do what we saw in Invasion of Astro Monster, to bring it back to the movie. Nobody, until it's taken, SpaceX, they started doing this in 2005. It's taken 20 years to figure out the physics of what it would actually mean to take a rocket to space and bring it back down and be able to reuse it again. And the goal the next 20 years is to have 1,000 of those flights a year. 1,000 times a year, booster and Starship go up and come back. Because Starship is supposed to be recoverable as well. That'll just come in and land in the ocean. But it's just mind-blowing amounts of science happening in front of our eyes.
Yeah, it's crazy.
At sci-fi levels that nobody really ever thought was going to be possible. And these things are just happening.
Yeah, so you sent that
Not
to
just
me.
happening, but
you sent that to me before I watched this movie.
Okay.
So I did actually have a thought when I was watching the rockets and stuff, and I was man, this is 1964. They're making this, whenever it was, right?
Yeah.
They couldn't have imagined. Or I think it was
60 years
actually
later.
there was a shot of a rocket landing upright somewhere in the film, I want to say, or something.
Yeah.
And I was
The P1 that they take, they land on Planet
right?
X vertically. They land back on Earth vertically.
Yeah, and I just made a connection between just visually the little down thrusters as it's landing, and I was man, we've gone from sci-fi to reality,
Yeah. Yeah, we really have.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, they're I'll send you this dude has this YouTube channel, and it's it's a 4-hour stream of the entire morning, but it's broken up into chapters, and so you can go and watch just the launch portion, and then watch the launch and the return of booster, and then you can fast forward and watch when Starship actually does its return and it comes back into the atmosphere. And I kid you not, because of Starlink, they're getting 4K footage or 1080p footage pushed back to Earth in real time from Starship. So as this thing is orbiting the Earth, they've got live cameras on this freaking spaceship outside of the spaceship as it's orbiting Earth, and you're just seeing the bright white glow of the rockets behind the spaceship, or like they do a wing looking down shot, like you're just, that's the freaking Earth right there, dude, just like sailing underneath. And then it comes back in and it's like re-entering the orbit, and it lights up like purple and green and blue and pink, like,
Chemical.
and Sam and I are watching this and it's just burning back in, and it looks like a movie. And Sam at one point went, oh wait, this is real, this isn't a movie, this is like, that's what it looks like. And we're seeing, like, just this is happening right now. Like, it was truly mind-blowing to a scale. Like, the last time anything really made me feel that just like, whoa, was in 2005, when my family we were in Florida and we saw Shuttle Discovery launch. Space Shuttle Discovery launch into space. It was insane. Your whole body, we were 5 miles away from the launch site and your whole body shook. And that was like the the rocket those rockets that NASA built were tiny little toys compared to the stuff that SpaceX is doing. It just is, it's so cool, man. I love space travel. I love seeing, I mean, we are living in sci-fi moments. We really are. Like, and it just is, it's really cool to see it happen. And to even just like that, combined with the amount of technology we have today that allows us to be this much of a part of it, is unbelievable. And I'm struck by that multiple times a week. That for all of the problems that being constantly connected to each other has actually caused the human race, one of the benefits of it is that we get to see each other actually doing good and accelerating and moving forward as a human race. Or the opportunity is there to see that more. You just have to go find it. Just like you got to go find all the terrible stuff that we do to each other. Man, this turned into like, this is everything but about a Godzilla movie, and yet everything about a Godzilla movie.
That's how little there was to say about this movie. We're at about an hour of recording as I speak. This has been Space with Caleb. Would anyone would like to know what we rated this film? I'll tell you right now, I gave it a 3 out of 5 stars. I did not think it was good.
Yeah, that's about where it sits for me. I'm really trying to rate these movies as an adult and not rate them as 8-year-old me. 8-year-old me would have given this a 5. Like, are you kidding me? They were in space and like freaking Ghidorah and bleh, you know, like, but yeah, it doesn't really make any sense, and there's not enough monsters in it. And again, I don't feel like Ghidorah got the screen time that it deserves. King Ghidorah is such a cool monster.
Just a prop.
Yeah. Yeah. So then, yeah, 3 out of 5 for me as well.
Okay.
You know, man, I was just
agree.
thinking as we were doing that there, like, not everything is everything, and not everything is everything.
Don't forget how we started this episode. Caleb is very tired.
You're gonna come back to me and be like, actually, that makes sense.
This is like
it's a bit of a Buddhist gift.
It's something. Well, you're welcome for that, everyone.
Take us home, Brian. Lead us out.
What's our next movie?
Ooh, that's a great question. I have never ever prepared for this.
Once in your life.
As I was very fond of saying at Apple, during my time at Apple, when I didn't know the answer to a question, let's find out together.
It may be Ibira Horror of the Deep.
Oh, it's definitely Ibira. 100%. We're
Our
gonna
next movie
have lobster.
be Ibira Horror of the Deep from
Should we eat lobster
1966.
while we do the next movie? Do you like lobster?
I don't know. I don't know.
It's just a bug.
I don't know if
water bug.
I might have had lobster.
little red lobster. Some Cheddar Bay biscuits.
I really like the biscuits at that place.
Are you a picky eater?
No.
No.
I just don't get excited about seafood like some people do.
You don't get excited.
Sushi's like the one thing that I don't really do.
Really?
Not because I dislike it, but because I just can't get. I can't get into it. Like I don't find it enjoyable. It just tastes like raw seafood to me, which is what it is.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've never turned that corner, so
yeah.
I like everything else.
That's not for everybody.
I'll try anything once, except heroin.
That one you got to do twice, huh?
Dang it. This has been the one about Godzilla movies. Thanks for sticking with us, and we'll see you next time for Ibira Horror of the Deep from 1966.